Once upon a time, on a small planet called Earth, there was a manufacturing company that made a lot of cool gadgets. And inside that manufacturing company, there was a quality control department. And in that quality control department, a smart engineer worked. This engineer had to make sure that components that were going into these wonderful gadgets that everyone wanted to buy were meeting specifications, that they were not defective and they were not counterfeit. Our engineer had to test a lot of different semiconductor parts. He checked diodes, he checked chips, he checked MOSFETs, and all of these he could check on this wonderful instrument created by Tektronix Corporation in 1973, and this instrument was called Tektronix 577 Curve Tracer. The instrument was very reliable. It's been in operation for many decades, and every day without a fail, our engineer could use it to test the parts that were going into wonderful products of this little manufacturing company. And then, one beautiful spring morning, as our engineer had to test some bipolar transistors recently ordered from China to make sure they meet the specs and they were not counterfeit, the display on his curve tracer all of a sudden went dark. In a few moments, engineers' olfactory cells had detected a nasty smell coming from the curve tracer. He immediately turned it off, and then he proceeded to remove the covers of the curve tracer to see if he can find out what's actually making this stink. He didn't have to look for long. Right away, he spotted a burned resistor on the high voltage board. That resistor was emitting a nasty smell that his olfactory senses had detected a minute ago. Without wasting any time, our engineer rushed to his computer and typed into the search window Tektronix 577 service manual. And through a miracle of internet, in a few seconds, he had in front of him schematics of high voltage board from Tektronix 577 curve tracer. He studied schematic very carefully, and he found that the resistor that burned was designated R1251, and that resistor right there was supplying power to the transformer which was driving the display. Aha, thought the engineer, maybe transformer has an internal short, and that's why resistor burns. I'm going to disconnect the transformer and see if resistor will stop burning, and if it does, it means transformer is faulty. And then I'm going to go online and look for that transformer because I have a part number to the transformer right here in this manual. Our engineer was not only very smart, he was also very brave. He was like a modern-day knight. He wasn't afraid of high voltage. He was going to replace the transformer and have his trusted curve tracer operational again. So what if he has to spend a day disordering a bunch of wires, disconnecting the covers, and soldering transformer back to the board? He can do that. He knows how to use a soldering iron. Let him just go online and find the transformer. And so he began searching for one. He looked high and he looked low, and everywhere he looked, he could not find one. There are some transformers that were used. They were for sale on eBay, but the seller could not answer the question, is it a good transformer or bad transformer, or how many hours was this transformer in operation? And being very smart, our engineer figured out that spending half a day replacing a transformer to have it fail on him in 3 days is just not a viable option. The beautiful spring morning turned into a difficult afternoon. The engineer was just sitting in front of his curve tracer with a dark screen and thinking where he's going to get a new transformer or how he's going to solve this problem. And while he was sitting in front of his curve tracer thinking about the transformer, his co-workers keep bringing him more and more parts and the pile of parts was growing bigger and bigger, and the engineer started to panic a little bit. Even though he was brave and smart engineer, he didn't know how he's going to solve the problem. Should he ask a boss to buy another curve tracer from eBay? Of course, the kind that was removed from working environment, so chances that it's going to be working were almost 1%. Or should they just order a new modern curve tracer at a small sum of $100,000 from a little test equipment company called Keysight? That was a difficult decision, and he didn't know what to do. And he just kept rocking and rocking in his chair in front of his dark Tektronix 577, and he started daydream. And he dreamt that somebody on this little planet called Earth had figured out a way to modernize this beautiful instrument and to create some kind of a digital interface for the Tektronix 577 that will allow engineers like him forget about high voltage transformer, forget about the dim CRT display, and they just start using the 577 curve tracer with a computer interface with any PC that runs Windows. And just like when this idea hit him, he woke up. And oh, eureka! Our engineer jumped off his seat. He rushed to his computer and typed in the Google search window Tektronix 577 curve tracer computer interface and pressed enter. And what did he see? He saw that there is a company on this planet that already had figured out a way to add a computer interface to Tektronix 577 and 576 curve tracers. And this interface does not need high voltage transformer. It doesn't need a CRT. It just needs a USB cable that connects into the board that this company will install in your curve tracer. Or if you're brave and smart, you can install it yourself. And for a price of an inexpensive smartphone, you will be able to use your 577 curve tracer once again without the CRT, without the high voltage transformer. It will display everything beautifully on any Windows computer, or like here on this skinny Surface Pad. And you will have cursors, and also you will have memory to save your curves for future use. And then you'll have another memory to save even more curves for future use. And on top of that, you will be able to recall the memory and compare it with the device that you are measuring in present time. And all of these three measurements will be on one screen. And you won't need to relearn how to use a curve tracer. All the functions of 577 work just the same. The only thing that's different is the screen. Now you will be looking at a different screen, and the only control that we add are for the images that you see on the screen. So without wasting any time, our engineer called the number you see on the screen and had ordered the computer interface upgrade for his Tektronix 577 curve tracer, received it in a matter of days, installed it in a matter of couple of hours, and lived happily ever after. And that's the end of the story. Good night.